I've completed crocheting up to this point, and with the row that we did to close the armholes, I've made a total of 15 rows of double crochet plus the 10 rows that we did up here with the increases. My jacket so far has a total of 25 rows. So what we're going to do now to go to the next step, I finished with my last double crochet for this row, chain 1, cut the yarn, pull the loop, and tighten up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work a rib stitch starting from up here around so we can make the buttonholes as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and start, and because we're going to start creating the buttonholes from row 1 that we're going to crochet now, I am going to put my stitch markers on the stitches that I'm going to leave my buttonholes. Now, if we're crocheting a jacket for a boy, we want the buttons to be on the left side and the buttonholes to be on the right side of the jacket when the boy wears it. So as we are seeing our crochet project, we are going to create the buttonholes on the left side and the buttons on the right side. So this way, when the boy wears it, we're going to have the buttons and the buttonholes on the correct side. If you're making this jacket for a girl or for a woman, you want the buttons and the buttonholes to be on the opposite direction. So for this project, because it's for a baby boy, we want the buttons to be created on this side and the buttonholes on this side. So when you wear it, the buttonholes are on the right side and the buttons on the left. I hope I'm not confusing you. Okay, so I am going to put my first buttonhole on the second row. So I'm going to put my stitch marker on the first double crochet of the second row. Okay, and then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. Attach your next stitch marker. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Attach your next stitch marker. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My last stitch marker, and I'm going to leave this end open. But if you prefer, you can add a button in the end as well. Okay, so on this side, I'm going to make my buttons. I'm going to have my buttons, and on this side, I'm going to create my buttonholes. So let's go ahead and start. And again, remember, if you're making this for a girl or for a woman, you want the buttons to be on the opposite side. So I'm starting from the top, and I'm attaching my yarn under the first double crochet of the first row. We are always going to be crocheting 2 double crochet under each stitch. So as I've mentioned in previous projects, each double crochet, when we're crocheting horizontally on the stitch, it counts as 2 stitches. It consists of 2 stitches, okay? So we want to make 2 double crochet under each stitch up until the end of this row. So I'm going to put my hook under the first double crochet of the first row, and I'm going to start by crocheting 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, which counts as my first double crochet. And under the same stitch, I am going to work 1 more double crochet. So I have 2 stitches to begin with. Next double crochet, 2 more stitches. 1, 2, next row. 1, 2, next double crochet. 1, 2, next double crochet. 1, 2. So this is how my work looks like so far. I always want to be crocheting 2 stitches under each first double crochet of every row. Once I reach the end down here, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to work the bottom. I've completed crocheting to double crochet in every stitch, and what we're going to do now is see how we have crocheted in the last row our 2 double crochet in order to create a corner, and in order for our work not to bend in, we are going to work 1 more double crochet in the same space that we worked our last 2. So go ahead and work 1 more double crochet, and this is going to help us to create the corner and for us to start working on the bottom side of our jacket. So what we're going to do is from now on the bottom part, we are going to be creating the rib stitch. Okay, so I'm going to be working 2 front posts and 2 back posts double crochet. So the first 2 stitches we're going to work a front post. So put your hook from the front to the back of the right side of the stitch to the front again on the left side, and we're going to work a front post. So grab the yarn and pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. Same in the next stitch. Take your hook and put it from the front to the back of the right side to the front again of the left side, and we're pulling outwards our stitch, and we're going to work a front post. So grab the yarn and pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. Now in the next 2 stitches we're going to work a back post. So put your hook from the back to the front of the right side to the back again of the left side, and you're pulling backwards your stitch. And take the yarn, pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. Take the yarn and take your hook from the back to the front of the right side to the back again of the left side, and you're pulling backwards your stitch. So take the yarn, pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. So this is how we're going to work the whole bottom part of our jacket. We're going to be working 2 front posts, 2 back posts up until you finish this row. So our next 2 stitches are going to be 2 front posts. So 1, 2. Now 2 back posts. 1, 2. Now we're going to work 2 front posts double crochet. 1, 2. Now we're going to work 2 back posts. 1, and 2. And this is how our work looks like so far. Okay, so now you're going to be working 2 front posts and 2 back posts up until you complete the bottom part. Now you're not going to crochet on your last stitch, because on this stitch is when we're going to turn around and start working upwards on the other side of our jacket. So in the last 2 stitches that you're either going to work a front post or a back post are those 2 stitches over here. Do not crochet on your last stitch, because we're going to start this the other front part of our jacket. So once I reach those 2 stitches, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue from there on. I've completed crocheting the bottom part, and this is how it looks like so far. Now, because my stitches were an odd number, what happened here in the end is I ended up with a set of 2 front posts and only 1 back post double crochet. I didn't have an extra stitch to set it up with, but that's okay. I'm going to leave this back post right here by itself. Now what we're going to do, as we did in this corner over here, in this first stitch, in order to create the corner, instead of crocheting, to double crochet on top of it, as we're going to do in all the rest of the stitches, we're going to crochet 3 double crochet. So just so you don't get confused, turn your jacket on the other side, so we're crocheting upwards now to make our buttonholes. So right under this double crochet, we're going to crochet 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Now, as we did on the other front side, under each double crochet we're going to be creating 2 stitches, and on each stitch marker I'm going to be substituting the 2 double crochet with a chain of 2. These 2 chains will stand for the 2 double crochet that we're not going to be making in the stitch. Now, if you are going to make a bigger buttonhole, which means you're going to use a bigger button, if you're going to make, let's say, a chain of 3, that means you're going to substitute for 3 double crochet. So instead of working 2 stitches here, you're going to work the 2 chains will count for this stitch, and instead of working 2 double crochet on this stitch, you're only going to crochet 1 double crochet, and that's because you'll have a chain of 3, for example. Okay, a chain of 3. Now we're going to be making a chain of 2, so we're only going to be skipping 1 double crochet, and on the next one we're going to be making 2 stitches. So let's see how we're going to do that. So each chain you are going to be deleting a double crochet for each chain that you're making. Okay, so I hope I'm not confusing you with that. So let's go under the first stitch and work 2 double crochet, 1, 2, next stitch 2 double crochet, 1, 2, next one 2 double crochet, 1, 2, next stitch 2 double crochet. Now in the next stitch we have our stitch marker, so I'm going to take out the stitch marker, and instead of working 2 double crochet I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. I'm going to skip this double crochet which I had the stitch marker, and I'm going to work my 2 stitches on the next one. 1, 2. So this is my first buttonhole. Keep working 2 stitches in every double crochet. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, we have a stitch marker, so I'm going to take out the stitch marker, and instead of working 2 double crochet under this stitch, I am going to chain 2. I'm going to skip this double crochet and work 2 stitches on the next one. 1, 2. So this was my second buttonhole. So go ahead and keep working the row the same way that we're doing, okay, up until we finish. And when I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on and see how to continue from there on. I've completed crocheting my row, and this is how the row of the buttonholes looks like. So I have my last 2 chains for my first buttonhole for the starting from the top, okay, and the last 2 double crochet on the last row right here of double crochet, okay, because this is the beginning where I left the row and I started the buttonhole from the next one. So right here in the first row we have the 2 double crochet. So what we're going to do, we're going to start the second and last row for the rib stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work. Starting from the first stitch, I'm going to work 1 double crochet. The next stitch, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So put your hook from the front to the back on the right side, to the front again on the left side, and work a double crochet. Now on every chain 2 space we're going to be working 2 double crochet. So put your hook under and work 2 stitches. 1, 2. And now we're going to be following the pattern that we did on the bottom side of our jacket. 2 front posts and 2 back posts. So the next 2 stitches I'm going to work 2 front post double crochet. 1, 2. The next 2 stitches I'm going to work 2 back posts. So in order to form a back post, you're going to be putting your hook from the back to the front of the right side, to the back again of the left side, and work a double crochet. So this was my first. Next one, a back post as well. 2. Next 2 stitches, a front post double crochet. 1, 2. Next 2 stitches, a back post double crochet. 1, 2. My next 2 stitches, a front post double crochet. 1, 2. And in the chain 2 space again work 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Now keep working 2 front post, 2 back post, 2 front post, 2 back post, 2 front post, 2 stitches in the chain 2 space, and keep working the same pattern up until you crochet in the last set of 2 double crochet. Once you reach the spot where we made the 3 stitches in the same stitch in order to form the corner, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue from there on. I've completed working this side going downwards, and this is how my work looks like. And now I've crocheted the last set of 2, which were 2 backward back post double crochet, and now I'm in the corner in which I worked a total of 3 double crochet in the same stitch in order to create the corner. So in the first out of those 3, I'm going to work a regular double crochet. In the second stitch, the middle stitch, in order to keep my corner, I am going to crochet 2 double crochet in that same stitch. 1, 2, and I'm working regular double crochet. I'm not working neither front post or back post double crochet. And in the third out of those 3 stitches, I am going to work 1 double crochet. So on the first out of the 3, we worked 1 stitch. In the second one, in order to keep the corner, we made 2, and in the third one we made 1 double crochet. Now I'm turning my work and I'm working the bottom part of my jacket, in which I'm going to keep the direction of the stitches. What does that mean is that see how in the previous row my last stitch here, the lonely one, that was only 1 back post. In this row, because we turned our work, it seems as if it's a front post. So I'm going to keep working a front post double crochet in this row as well. The next 2 stitches, see how in the previous row we made 2 front posts. Because we turned our work, they seem to be 2 back post double crochet. So in this row I'm going to keep working back post for these stitches. So 2 back post, 2 front post, 2 back post, 2 front post. We're keeping the direction of the stitches the way they seem in this row. So my first stitch here is a front post. So I'm going to work a front post double crochet. Then I have 2 back posts. In order for me to be able to see them better, just pull them up a little bit, okay, and work 2 back post double crochet. 1, 2. Next 2 stitches, 2 front post double crochet. 1, 2. The next 2 stitches, 2 back posts. 1 and 2. Next 2 stitches, 2 front posts, 1 and 2. So keep following the same pattern up until you complete the row, and when I reach and when I make my last set of 2 back posts, see right over here, when it's time for me to do the corner again, I'm going to turn my video back on, although the corner is being made in the same exact way that we did this corner over here. So keep working 2 front posts and 2 back posts up until you reach your corner again. I've completed working all of the bottom part, and I've worked my last 2 stitches, which were the 2 back posts, and now I'm in the spot where I made my 3 double crochet in the same stitch to create the increase in the previous row. So the same as we did on this corner, same here in the first stitch, we're going to work a regular double crochet. In the middle stitch, in the second stitch, in order to keep the corner, we're going to work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and in the third stitch we're going to work only 1 double crochet. So out of the 3 stitches, in the first one we worked the double crochet, in the second one 2, and in the third one 1 double crochet. Now we're going to start working on those sets of 2 front posts and 2 back posts up until we complete the row. But since here, see down here before the corner that my last 2 stitches are 2 back posts, since I want to have the same pattern going upwards on the opposite front side, I'm going to start with 2 back post double crochet. Okay, so the first 2 stitches are going to be 2 back post double crochet, 1, 2. Next 2 stitches are going to be 2 front post, 1 and 2. Next 2 stitches are going to be 2 back post, 1, 2. Next 2 stitches are going to be 2 front post, 1 and 2, and this is how my pattern looks like going upwards. So right before the end, when I'm left with my last 2 stitches, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to complete this row. I'm almost done working upwards the front part, and the last 2 stitches that I made were a set of 2 back post double crochet, so I'm left with 2 stitches. The last stitch, make sure you do not get confused, is the 3 chains that we worked in the beginning of the previous row in order to start our rib stitch. Okay, so since my last 2 stitches are 2 back post, this next stitch is going to be 1 front post double crochet, and in the last stitch we're going to work a regular double crochet. Go ahead and do it again. Okay, so this is my front post, okay, and in the third out of the 3 chains I'm gonna work my last double crochet. Okay, now chain 1, cut the yarn, pull the loop and tighten up. So we're done working a rib stitch. So this is the side, our buttonholes, and this is where we're going to put our buttons in the end. Okay, now we're left with our sleeves. Now if you recall, after the sleeves with the increases, when I turned my video back on, I mentioned that I had a total of 25 rows, 10 with our increases and 15 rows the rest of them. So when we're standing up and we have our hands down, our hands reach about our waist, right? So I want to have the same length as my jacket. So since I already have my 10 rows of increases going this way, that means that I need an extra 15 rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch and finish up with 2 rows of the rib stitch as we did over here. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to start. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to attach our yarn down here in the bottom of the armhole down here. And since we want to keep the pattern of you know how we turned our work in every row, that means that every row that we're going to be finishing on the sleeve, we're going to be turning on our work. So we have our good side and the wrong side of the stitches. So in every row we're going to be turning on our work, and this is going to help us to have a straight seam under the sleeve as well, because if we keep working in the round with double crochet, our seam is going to become diagonal and it's not going to look nice. Okay, so put your hook in this center stitch right here in the armhole that we have. Okay, take your yarn, take it through the stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 chains count as our first double crochet. And now we're going to be working 1 stitch in every stitch around. So work 1 double crochet in your next stitch. So this is our second stitch. 2, next one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and keep working 1 double crochet in every stitch around. And this is very easy to do because we're working on top of each stitch, and we're working 1 double crochet in every stitch around the armhole, the sleeve that we left. Okay, once I work the last double crochet down here, I'm going to turn the video back on and see how to continue from there on. So we're working 1 double crochet going around. I finished crocheting around and I have a total of 35 stitches. So I'm going to put my hook in the first double crochet for this row, which was my chain 3. Put your hook in the third chain and work a slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now I'm going to be working 1 double crochet in every stitch, 35 stitches around, up until I complete the sleeve. Okay, starting from the first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep working 1 double crochet up until you have 35 stitches. I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to finish off this row, how to start the next one, and then from there on up until we complete the 25 rows, we're going to be working off camera again. I've worked my 35 stitches. Now I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch for this row, slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now starting again from the first stitch, we're going to work 35 stitches around, slip stitch, chain 1, turn your work, 35 stitches around. So in every row that you're going to be completing, you are going to be turning your work. Okay, so this is how our work looks like so far. Now starting from the top, right here from the first row, up until the end, I am going to need to have a total of 25 rows, and then I'm going to finish with a row with 2 rows of the rib stitch as I did over here. Now, if you prefer, you can leave your jacket this way. It's going to seem like a vest, and you can make now your 2 rows of your rib stitch. See how it looks with 2 rows of sleeve over here? You can leave it like this, but you can also make a long sleeve. I am going to make a long sleeve. When I finish, when it's time for me to make my 2 rows of the rib stitch, I'm going to turn the video back on to see how to finish off my sleeve. And I'm going to have my other sleeve completed as well. When I turn my video back on, I'm going to be in the stage where I'm going to be making my 2 rows of the rib stitch, but I'm also going to have the other sleeve completed as well. Okay, so go ahead and work a total of 25 rows, starting to count from the top up until the bottom. I've completed crocheting my 25 rows for the sleeve, and now we're going to do the 2 rows of the rib stitch. Okay, starting from the first double crochet, the first 2 stitches are going to be a front post double crochet. 1 and 2. Next 2 stitches are going to be a back post double crochet. So we're doing the same exact rib stitch that we did around on our jacket previously. Next 2 stitches are going to be a front post double crochet. 1 2. Next 2 stitches are going to be a back post double crochet. 1 and 2, and keep following the same pattern up until you complete the row. When I finish this row, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start row 2 of the rib stitch. I completed the row, and if you recall, when I started crocheting the sleeve, I only had 35 stitches, which is an odd number. This is why I finished the row with only 1 back post double crochet. I didn't have an extra stitch to match it with. So if this happens to you as well, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so go ahead and work a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row. Chain 1, and do not turn your work. Keep working in the round, and all the front post double crochet, we're going to keep working front post in this row. And in every stitch that we worked a back post in the previous row, we're going to keep working a back post in this row as well. So work a front post double crochet in the first 2 stitches. 1 2. Next 2 stitches, work a back post double crochet. 1 2. Next 2 stitches, work a front post double crochet. 1 2. So keep following the pattern up until you finish this row as well. I've completed row 2 of the rib stitch as well. I finished this row with a back post double crochet with 1 back post double crochet as I did the previous row. So go ahead and put your hook in the first stitch for this row, work a slip stitch, chain 1, cut your yarn, pull the loop, and tighten up. So our sleeve is ready, and the other sleeve, and our other sleeve is ready as well. You're going to follow the same exact steps to do the second sleeve too. So now what we're left is to crochet a few rows right here on the neck and to add the buttons, and our jacket is going to be ready after we do these 2 last steps. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start, and what we're going to try to do is a little collar on our jacket. So go ahead and attach your yarn on the first double crochet, which is the one that I made the 2 double crochet when we crocheted horizontally to make the rib stitch. So on top of that stitch, the very first one, put your hook and attach your yarn. Okay, so grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So this counts as a double crochet. Now we want to crochet on top of every stitch. We want to do 1 double crochet in every stitch, but make sure you do 1 stitch in every stitch, because this, what we're really doing at this point is we're crocheting on the opposite side of our chain stitch that we did in the beginning. So make sure you're doing only 1 stitch in every stitch. Okay, next one, 2, next stitch, 3, next one, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and keep crocheting 1 double crochet in every stitch around up until you reach this first double crochet on this side, where again we have made the 2 double crochet when we were crocheting horizontally. So right before I reach this spot, I'm going to turn my video on so you can see where to put your crochet hook correctly to finish the row. I'm almost done with my row, and this is the stitch that I'm left with, the one that I made, that I crocheted horizontally for the rib stitch. So this is the stitch, the last stitch, and I'm going to crochet my last double crochet for this row. Now chain 1 and turn your work. So up until I complete my collar, I am going to be turning my work every time I finish my row, and I'm going to be making 1 stitch in every stitch. Okay, so I'm going to be starting here, finish here, then chain 1, turn your work, again 1 double crochet in every stitch every time. So now we're starting row 2 for the collar. I've chained 1, put your hook in the first double crochet and work a double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep crocheting 1 stitch in every stitch up until you complete the row. I'm almost done with my row. Now we're going to crochet together the last stitch, which is the 3 chains that we did in the previous row to begin the collar. Okay, so put your hook in the third out of the 3 chains and work your last double crochet for this row. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now keep working 1 double crochet in every stitch up until you finish your collar, up until you make it as big as you prefer. Once I finish mine, I'm going to turn my video back on where I'm going to mention how many rows I did in total for the collar, and we're going to see how it looks, and then in the end we're going to attach the buttons to finish our jacket. So go ahead and finish the collar, and then we're going to do the buttons. I've completed crocheting my collar. I've made my last double crochet in the last row. Okay, I've chained 1, cut the yarn, pull the loop and tighten up. So I made a total of 5 rows for my collar. Now if you want to make a hood, because in the beginning of the video in the chart I give the measurements how long a hood should be, just keep crocheting in the same rows that we did for the collar. Just keep crocheting, add many more rows, and once you have the total length that you want for your hood, turn your work inside out, attach the 2 corners, and join this top part by sewing or by working slip stitches from the beginning up until the end, and you'll have a hood. Okay, but you only have to make more rows than those 5 that we did together. So now we're going to attach the buttons, and once we attach the buttons, When you open the collar, it'll look like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how to attach the buttons. Okay, so now in order to attach my buttons, remember how here we left the first stitch and then we did our first buttonhole, but in every double crochet that we were leaving, when we crocheted horizontally, we made 2 stitches on top of each double crochet. Okay, so every time we were skipping 6 stitches, but in each of those stitches that we're skipping, we made a total of 2 double crochet on top of it. So I'm leaving the first stitch, which is the first 2 double crochet. I'm not going to put any stitch markers here, but right in the next stitch in row 2, I made my first buttonhole. So right here on those next 2 double crochet, I'm going to put my first stitch marker because this is where I am going to attach my first button. Okay, now we were counting 6 stitches for every buttonhole, so I'm going to skip 6 stitches, and every stitch is a set of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be our second button. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our third button. So every time we're counting sets of 2, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of 2. And our last button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the end, I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 2, and after my last buttonhole I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 2. So let's go ahead and see how to attach the first button, and then the rest of them we're going to do off camera. So I'm using the yarn that I made my jacket with, and I'm using handmade wooden buttons that my husband and I have made. So I'm using double strand, and just take it through your button. Okay. Now take out your first stitch marker and place your first button. Now with your crochet hook, pull backwards the first 2 strands and then pull backwards the other 2. Okay, so I have all 4 of my strands on the back side of my jacket. Now make a knot. Make it pretty tight. Okay, and our first button is ready, and this is how it looks when you button it. Okay, so go ahead and attach the rest of the buttons on your jacket. When I finish and have weaved in all of my ends, I'm going to turn my video back on and see how our jacket looks completed. At this point, I've completed my jacket, and this is how it looks from the bottom going upwards. Our sleeves. Okay, and this is how the collar looks when you fold it. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you like the video, please press like and leave a comment, and please share the videos. Thanks again. Bye bye.